Okay, guys, today's review is going to be on an old figure, Dutch from Predator, and it's one of my favorite figures ever. And a big part of it is just I really liked Predator when I was a kid. It's kind of funny. My parents would kind of argue a lot about different stuff, and one of the goofy little arguments that they had was that my mom would take me to see Disney stuff all the time because I was like a 3 year old. So what else, would I go see? But the thing is, back in the 80s, everything from Disney was about like princesses and stuff like that. So my dad thought the stuff was a little girly. So I remember it was that my mom wanted me to see Lady and the Tramp. Why not? A movie about talking dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? And my dad was like, "No, you can't take him to see that. Like, if he sees, if you keep seeing stuff like that, you're going to turn him into a girl or something like that." And so instead, my dad picked something as far removed from that as possible, which was Predator. And that movie blew me away. Like I mean, of course, like I've never seen anything like that. Well, no crap, I was like 3, and but I mean, like a guy getting his arm blown off, and then his arm is still firing his gun. Like it was crazy, and I wasn't like scared, and the gore and none of that stuff bothered me. I was just so engrossed in this film and its characters, and it was such a big deal. And when I turned 4, my mom, for my birthday, she got me this ginormous Schwarzenegger figure because I was such a Schwarzenegger fan after seeing Predator. Like I had kind of long hair. I got my hair cut short to match Schwarzenegger because I don't know. I somehow figured maybe it would make me just like him. I guess that's something you do when you're a kid. But when I got this thing, like it's my mom. Like there's a picture of it somewhere, and it's like my mom, and she's handing it to me, and I'm like looking at it like she's about to give me like the holy grail. Like it's amazing, and I've had this forever. And while I really liked this figure when I was a kid, uh, it was really ginormous. And what I really wanted was something action figure sized. And well, eventually we got like Terminator figures and stuff like that. It's like, no, but I want like Soldier Schwarzenegger. There wasn't really any toys like that, or I never found any when I was growing up. So when Neca made the Dutch figure, it was such a big deal to me. And just because, like, after seeing that movie, seeing other movies like that with my dad became a thing. The Aliens, Die Hard, those kinds of action films. That now became something that I did with my dad. And I remember when we went to go see Predator 2 in theaters, and like what a big deal that was for me. Um, and going to see Alien 3 and going to see Alien Resurrection, which is horrible, but whatever. Like the point is, like those are my memories of spending time with my dad. My parents divorced, so I only saw my dad like maybe like every other weekend, and so usually what we did was go to the movies and stuff like that. So it was really cool when there was like a movie of something that was a big deal, not just for me, like, oh, here's this kid movie, and like my dad just kind of sits through it, but like an actual movie that he would like too. And so we've seen lots of Schwarzenegger movies together, from Twins to Kindergarten Cop to Terminator and stuff like that. So this toy is pretty special to me. Okay, so the first accessory, and I guess the only real accessory that NECA thought you would actually care about, would be Schwarzenegger's rifle, which is an AR-15 with an M16A1 birdcage muzzle flash suppressor and an M203 grenade launcher on the bottom. Um, it's actually the same gun that Billy has, and I guess I never noticed it in the film. Um, like I just never realized that their guns were the same, or because for some reason Schwarzenegger's gun itself is kind of iconic to me, and Billy's, even though it's the same thing, just isn't. So whatever. Well, this is what he comes with, and it's got nice detail in it. It's all pretty much all just one big solid piece of black plastic, but it's got this nice shoulder strap of not kind of cloth or thread. I don't know. It just feels like a really, really, really soft plastic. Um, I think it came out really nice. It does kind of have kind of a like a metal like or a metallic look to it. You know, if you ask me, um, my problems from the accessories just come from the handles. There's no problem with this, but when it comes to the handgun and the knife, you'll notice that the size and width of the handles are different, and Schwarzenegger's hand is really only fitted to hold just the rifle, and that kind of sucks. But as far as the accessory itself goes, no, it's fine. It looks great. Okay, Dutch's other accessory is his Desert Eagle, and he never uses it. Nobody uses it. He like Billy has one, and like Mac has one, but they never use them. So that's too bad. But I guess it's like, yeah, but they would totally have one, wouldn't they? As far as the gun itself goes, I think it looks really nice. I mean, if you see a picture of it, you know, like online, it looks the same. Like I don't know. I'm not like a gun expert or anything like that. Everything I know about guns I learned from video games. So yes, playing like a lot of Metal Gear Solid 4 and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It looks right to me, and I think they did a really good job. I like that it's not just like all one like silver piece of plastic, or that they didn't just paint the whole thing silver, which would have been slightly better than just like here's a gray chunk of plastic in the shape of a gun. But you know, no, they got it to look just like his gun, and the silver paint is kind of a nice shiny paint. There's a problem you get when something's supposed to be metal and they paint it gray, it just looks gray, and that kind of sucks when that happens, especially when it's supposed to be something like a sword, and it's just like here it is, it's gray, metal's gray, and it's like yeah, I guess, but I really like it when it looks silver and you know can kind of reflect the light a little bit and look a little bit more like metal, and that's what Neca's done here, and I really like it. It looks really nice. I wish it would fit in his gun shooting hand, in his right hand, but it doesn't really. And I mean, you can force it in there. You can get it in there if you desperately want him to be holding that gun. But I'm worried that if I did that and I left it in there for too long, what if it like warps the hand and leaves that hand open a little too much, and then he doesn't hold the rifle properly, and whatever. So it's probably just going to be in his holster anyway, since he never actually fires it in the film. So it's not the biggest deal, but just kind of a little gripe. And lastly, his final accessory is his combat knife. I wouldn't know exactly what kind of combat knife this is. It just seems like some sort of standard fixed blade knife. I don't know if it was like a specific type or brand. I'm not like a knife or blade expert, so I'm sorry I can't help you out with that information. It just looks like a standard combat knife to me. Um, I think it looks really nice. Again, the paint is nice and silver and shiny, so it seems more like, you know, steel. Um, the paint on it and everything is very clean. It's very nice. My only problem is that the handle is really thin. It's like this thin little tube, and it doesn't fit in his hand. I mean, you can balance it in there, but you couldn't have him like hold it in it like in a stabbing kind of way. Like it'll just slip right out. So, but I mean, as far as the knife goes, it looks nice. I mean, it's just a tiny little knife. I have lots of these little knives from different toys, from like Matrix action figures to whatnot, and they all pretty much look the same. So, I don't know. Maybe I might get one of those Matrix knives and see if it fits his hand better. I kind of doubt it, but. Okay, so for the head, he's got a swivel at his neck. He can look down a little bit, not very much. And then he can look up a fair ways, looking in the trees for the predator. So pretty good head articulation. Can make him look like confused. Doesn't understand what you're saying. You don't like the new Terminator movies? What? And then for the shoulders, the joints are a little stiff because I don't move this character around a whole lot. But he's got a ball joint at the shoulders. Again, my joints are a little stiff. And then a single joint at the elbow. Really wish it was a double joint. It's a complaint I've had forever. It rotates at the elbow. And then his wrist swivels, of course, and it has something of a hinge. Well, it's like really not very noticeable, but I mean, I guess it's there. Then he has a diaphragm joint, and it's kind of well hidden between the wrinkles of his shirt and then the vest coming over it. And it does a good job of letting you turn his upper body. But as far as being able to make him look back, he doesn't really go that far back. As far as it being like an ab crunch, yeah, not really happening. So it's really just more for him to turn. But he has an actual waist swivel as well, and that barely moves. So it's like you move the waist a little bit, and then you move the diaphragm a little bit, and then now I guess he's turning. But yeah, you're not getting much of a crunch out of that. Then for the legs, ball joints at the legs, these are not connected to his legs, so they don't actually hinder the movement at all. He can actually move his legs really far out. Like look at the ninja skills of Schwarzenegger for a Neca figure. Be doing like Shawn Michaels sweet chin music super kicks. So he can move his legs pretty far forward. Not very far back, but I mean enough. Neca is doing that thing that you'll see with like play arts figures where their whole crotch piece is basically like a big old pair of rubber panties, and like on the inside is just like where the joints are. But this is great because it allows, you can see right there, like it allows some give so you can keep raising the legs. I almost feel like this is the rubber panties thing is probably how everyone should handle like these leg joints from now on, because look at the range you can get on a Schwarzenegger. Anyways, and they rotate a little bit, so they got that going, and then a single joint for the knee. Wish it was double jointed because it'd be cool to put his leg back more than that. And then it rotates right there too. It's like he's doing like a little Irish jig. And then at the boot, it rotates. It's a little stiff, but I mean right there at the line of the boot, like you can rotate it there. And then of course his foot rotates and rocks, but he doesn't have any toe articulation, and I really wish that he did. All in all, not bad for a Neca figure from 2012, but I do wish there was just a little bit more articulation. But other than that, really good. I mean, you can get him definitely into a lot of really cool poses if you're trying to recreate, scenes from the film. Okay, now a size comparison with my favorite Predator and favorite Xenomorph, the 25th anniversary Predator and the Alien Isolation Xenomorph. Holy crap, are Xenomorphs big? I mean, I try to get my Xenos into like the kind of crouchy, buggiest poses that I can get them in. So, I mean, he's not even standing all the way up, but man, this thing just, a Xenomorph towers over Schwarzenegger. This obviously is not in any of the movies. This is, you have to pretend this is from that side-scrolling Capcom game, which was really great. I mean, I guess maybe it's because their legs are a little wide apart, so maybe they are like perfectly in scale, in which case good. When they're standing side by side, they didn't look like it, but I guess like this, that's about right. I mean, you can't close this Predator's legs a little more because he'll topple over, so that's kind of how he's standing up. But I guess that's right. Neca is supposed to, or at the very least they said they were going to, make an ultimate jungle hunter. And so I'm hoping that would definitely be in scale with their Schwarzeneggers, that they would, take an old Schwarzenegger out of the box and make sure that it's at the right height. I'm really looking forward to that figure. I don't know when it's coming out. It's just supposed to be coming out. And they're going to do an Ultimate City Hunter too, but no Ultimate Danny Glover. So it's like, well, okay then. But, yeah. So, good scale, good height. Don't fall over. I'll have some more comparisons once that Ultimate Jungle Hunter actually comes out. But until then, I really like this figure. And I cannot get over how big xenomorphs must be then. I mean, forget it. There's no way we would ever survive xenomorph infestation. Like the predators, if the predators invaded Earth, well, hey man, if they're all into like honor duels and shit, maybe we have a chance. But Xenos, forget it. We're done for. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this figure so you can see why it is that he's one of my favorite figures. I mean, the detail, the likeness to Schwarzenegger is really well done. I mean, it definitely looks like him, and from any angle, not just from the side. His hairline, the sculpt of his hair, all of that. Even you can see like he's furrowing his brows. They got the wrinkles in the middle of his forehead. Just the way his eyes look. The way they did the fading camo paint. Something about the skin tone is kind of weird in that it looks kind of splotchy. I don't know if they were trying to make it look like because he's like sweaty and dirty by this part of the movie. But I think that's a little weird. I'm not sure what they were going for. Whatever they were going for, it came out kind of splotchy. But aside from that, you can see just like the sculpt and the detail of his muscles. His vest, the pockets. All of these wrinkles in the vest and in his shirt. The stitching on the belt, the belts themselves look really great. I mean, they look like real belts. You can kind of see where the knife holster's been like hot glued to the belt, but that's just like a tiny little complaint. You don't really notice it. All of that with the pants, I mean, you got, again, pockets and stitching, laces on the boots. I mean, look, it's like he's got like mud on his boots. It's all really, really great. The weapons as well, of course. So I mean, as usual, phenomenal job from Neca, and this is like this figure came out in 2012, so you know, Neca's only gotten better since then. And I remember on Twitter someone asking them if they were ever going to go back and do basically like Ultimate Dutch, the way they've been doing some of their Ultimate figures, and their response was no. They believe that the Schwarzenegger figures that they already did are Ultimate. And the thing is, they made like a Schwarzenegger figure for like every stage of the movie. So like at the beginning, well, he still has his shirt, and then like this version, and then like the, you know, him covered in mud, and like a special 2-pack from the end of the film where he's all bloody, and he comes with a bloody predator. And then another one that looks, he's all multicolored as if though you're looking at him through like the predator's heat vision or whatever. That one's a little easy to come by. I don't think a lot of people felt the need to add that one to their collection, so that one's really easy to get. The other figures, on the other hand, they're getting, I guess, a little harder to come by. They're not sold for crazy prices, but you're looking in the range of $50, $60 maybe. So when the figures cost $20 when they were new, they've at least doubled in price, but nothing like, you know, some crazy astronomical asking price or anything like that. So if you wanted to pick one up now, you could for still a fairly reasonable price. It's one of the great things about NECA that they only charge $20 for their figures. But as much as I love NECA, for them to say that this is like an ultimate figure, I don't buy it. I mean, this is a damn good figure, damn good. But I wouldn't say ultimate. For it to be ultimate, there'd have to be a couple of tweaks. For one, I would like double jointed elbows, and then I would also like double jointed knees. I would also like some toe articulation, because I always like to put them, you know, in this pose. That's like the cover of the VHS of him taking that step forward, you know, like when they set the traps and then he was gonna go out there and just be bait. I really like to put him in that pose. but the lack of toe articulation means I can't bend the toes on this foot that's, you know, being put back, so it doesn't look as good. Anyway, so toe articulation would be great. And then I guess the biggest problem that he has is in the hands. So his biggest problem is in his hands. Now, as you can see, he's holding his rifle just fine. Everything's great. But if we take his Desert Eagle and we can compare them, you can see how much bigger the handle is. So his hand is sculpted to hold this rifle, and I guess Neca figured that that's all he was gonna hold. And so it means he can't really hold his hand good. Now you can force it in there. I mean, you can get it in there, but I feel like if you do it like, I feel like you're kind of warping the hand plastic, which kind of sort of sounds like a kind of dirty innuendo. But I feel like you'd be really stretching the hand out, and if you left him like that for a long time, you know, because he's just on your shelf or whatever, that eventually his hand would just open up too much, and then he wouldn't hold the rifle properly. And something else that he comes with that is like a big part of the film, I feel like his knife was pretty integral to the last act of the film. It's how he made his weapons and carved his traps and all that stuff. And as you can see, it's really, really loose in his hand. You can see how thin the handle is. So it's like they didn't really expect you to have him hold this either. It can rest in his hand, but again, very loose. So in order to be an ultimate figure, then I wish he would have came with other sets of hands so that he can hold the rest of his accessories. Maybe an alternate head would be really nice. I think maybe, well, you know, because like if you see the Hateful Eight figures, you know, they all come with real clothes. So if he came with his brown shirt and it's like in a removable vest, then you could put the shirt on and then put the vest over it, and then maybe have little clip-on grenades, because yeah, he still had grenades at that point, and then maybe like an alternate head, like that had different camo, or like a cigar smoking head, or like for me to do is like ultimate 2-pack, and it'd be like Schwarzenegger in his red shirt and Dylan, right, in his suit and tie, and for them to have a set of hands that clasp together so they could do the son of a bitch like handshake. That would be fucking ultimate to me right there. That would be an amazing 2-pack. I'd pay a high price for that if I had to. But I think that would be great. Anyways, so I do not consider them to be ultimate. My little gripes are just little things like, I don't know, I really don't like the way the muscle of his back comes in and then like eats his vest. It gets hooked under there and it just looks weird. It's like Neca wants to try and they want to try and hide the points of articulation, which is fine and I understand, but man, I just think it's such a weird, goofy diaphragm joint, and it's just one of the problems that I have with Neca is that they'll have the point of articulation, so they could say like, oh yeah, he's got a diaphragm joint, but it's like, yeah, I guess, but like it doesn't really ab crunch very much. I mean, you really get like next to no movement, so why even bother? Same thing with the wrists, you know, or it's like it's got a swivel, and that's great, and you can kind of move it, sort of, but it's like, man, I wish there was like a better hinge going on here, because that's going up and down, but like trying to get it to move, I don't know. Like it obviously doesn't move very much. So that's kind of NECA figures. They'll have articulation, a lot more articulation now than they, you know, would have in the past, but it's still like, come on, man, like double jointed elbows. So their articulation is still kind of lacking, and if they would fix that in Ultimate figures, then I would be really happy. And then you know, you can say stuff like that to me on Twitter, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. But no. So if they decided that this as ultimate as it gets, that's kind of too bad, because that means they're definitely not gonna go back and do anything more with this character. So I don't know. Maybe you can swap parts in and out from like the Ultimate Commando figure that they did recently. You know, again, this figure is from like 2012, so it's been a long time. I don't expect to. I try not to judge toys from the past by the standards of today, but that's why I would like them to go back and do a fucking Ultimate figure. But I guess it means more to me. This is a really important character. It's something that's like near and dear to my heart and all that. But which is why I waited to do this review, because I was really waiting on getting a better camera. And now that I have it, I feel it's much better now that it stays in focus, can focus, and all that stuff. My old webcam, obviously not as good, but yeah, I'm really happy with this camera, so that I can really kind of show you all the details and all the stuff of why I like the figures that I do. I don't exactly review new things as they come out simply because they're new. I really only review the things that I bought for myself, because I'm a huge fan of those properties or those characters. So I would really like to be able to do some more Predator stuff in the future, as it was such a big deal movie for me. Anyways, as always, I thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you again next time for some more reviews in the future.